if I'll be able to hear this. Okay, cool. It's working. It's working. It's working. What's going on, man? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Uh, I wanted to talk about this. This is this Stockton, California incident that happened recently, where I think four or three people were killed, one person was injured, and I think it was at a children's birthday party. And my thing about it is, these are some of the things that kind of happen in our community, and I think at some point, a lot of us in the community need to step up and start telling on the folks who are in our community who are committing these crimes and stop giving them a pass and get rid of this whole no snitching culture, because it really is to the detriment of everyone around us when we just kind of want to turn a blind eye to everything. So many of us sit back and just let things happen when it shouldn't just happen. You even have a father on one of the clips that I'm going to show you where he was upset about his son who was gunned down. The woman whose party it was for one of her kids, she had some comments, and another clip I'm going to eventually show you where Mike Epps was saying we shouldn't celebrate these people who come home from jail because that is a part of our culture, which is not right. We celebrate people who are in jail and we say free them, and we always make excuses for them. And I just saw a post on one of my friends' Facebook pages about another one of my friends, not a real close friend, but just somebody I went to school with and who was kind of my friend. Like we was associates, we hung out and whatnot. But he was, from the reports, he was on some pills and he was drunk, and he slammed into the back of a woman and her children and killed them all. But this other individual is making excuses like, yeah, he had seizures and his blood alcohol level was really a 0.002 when they initially took it, but later on it was a 0.15. And you know how drugs can linger in your system. But to me, those were all excuses. It's like we don't have any accountability. We just want to, say, oh well, this person, they didn't do anything, and it's a conspiracy against them, and it was an accident, and this didn't really happen like they said it happened. We have all of these excuses for everyone in our community when we know that they just did something wrong, and just fess up to it. That person did something that they shouldn't have been doing. So, like I said, we have so many of us who are willing to, because it's my close friend or my cousin. Well, no, let's free them. No, some of these people who we know shouldn't be free. Some of these people that we interact with should definitely go to jail. Everyone isn't the person that we want them to be. So for us to sit up here and try to act like that they're not doing anything or they didn't do anything is just totally wrong to me. But I'm gonna get into this story. This story, like I said, was from Stockton, California. I'm gonna read the article and I'm gonna play a few clips. But I'm just gonna go ahead and read the article. It says this article is from USA Today. It's by Christopher Can. It's titled "Suspect Sought After Deadly California Birthday Party Shooting." Investigators in California were working on December 1st to identify one or more suspects who opened fire at a child's birthday party over the weekend, killing four people. Oh, they killed four and injured 11. So this is at a child's birthday party. They opened fire, killing four people and injuring 11. A child's birthday party. That's in itself is disgusting. That right there just lets you know that it really ain't no street codes anymore. You remember at some points it was always like a street code. Okay, we're not going to harm children. We're not going to harm women. We're not going to do certain types of crimes. Yes, we are criminals. Yes, we participate in things that we shouldn't participate in, but some things are just off limits. So now you go to a children's birthday party for retaliation, and you end up hurting a bunch of innocent bystanders, let alone you take out people who should still be here. Like it's a disgusting situation. It says a shooting erupted at a banquet hall in Stockton, California, where at least 100 people gathered for the celebration, according to San Joaquin County Sheriff Patrick Withrow. He said the incident may have involved more than one shooter and appeared to be targeted. Three children and one adult were killed in the shooting, the sheriff's office said. Three children and one adult. Three children and one adult was killed. Three children and one adult was killed. They go to a children's birthday party, shoot it up, kill three innocent children who are just there to have a good time, eat some cake, get a sugar high, run around, play, probably jump around in a bouncy house, and they don't even know that their lives is about to be taken in our community. This is the black community. These are people who I know a lot of those people at that party probably knew. Now I don't know if they were masked up. I'm going to continue reading the article, but you just when as I'm reading this, I'm thinking about how disgusting this situation really is. And to keep in mind, this is my first time really going over this. I've been hearing about it, but I didn't really dive into it. I said, let me go live and speak about it. But it goes on to say three children and one adult were killed in the shooting. The sheriff's office said the shooting left 11 others injured, and several of them, including multiple children, were taken to local hospitals. Withrow said at least one person remained in critical condition. Officials have not publicly released the names of the victims, but families and friends have begun to identify their loved ones. After the shooting, the Stockton Police Department said it arrested five people, including one juvenile, on conspiracy, weapons, and gang related charges. Heather Brent, a spokesperson for the San Joaquin County Sheriff's Office, told USA Today the arrests were not related to the shooting. Since the deadly attack, which California Governor Gavin Newsom called horrific, law enforcement officials have asked for the public's help in identifying possible suspects, requesting cell phone video and eyewitness accounts. Local officials also announced a $25,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of any suspects. Now, in my opinion, it shouldn't even be, it shouldn't even take somebody to want the reward to come forward in this case. Like we know, and you know, if this was something that was retaliation, then somebody at their party knew exactly who these people were, or they heard about it, or somebody who knew about the retaliation that was about to take place knew that this was going to happen, and they know who these people were. So somebody in our community needs to come forward and explain and say who these people were, because obviously they shot up innocent people who had nothing to do with this. Nothing to do with this, especially children. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. It says how the mass shooting at a child's birthday party unfolded. Withrow said authorities first received reports of gunfire at the banquet hall shortly before 6 p.m. on November the 29th, at the same time as many as 150 people were there for a child's birthday party. So you got 150 people at this party, which tells me if they're hitting a bunch of just innocent people. They just went in there and just shot the place up. Like they they had no regard for life, no regard for these children. They didn't care that it was children there. They just wanted to retaliate against somebody. Crazy. Three children, ages 8, 9, and 14, and a 21-year-old were killed in the shooting, according to the San Joaquin County Sheriff's Office. Stockton Mayor Christina Fugazi said the 8-year-old who was killed was a student in the Stockton Unified School District. She added that the child's parents also work for the school district. My baby was innocent. Teen remembered by community. Family members identified the 14-year-old killed in the shooting as Amari Peterson of Modesto, California. My baby was innocent, Peterson's mother told the Stockton Report, part of the USA Today network. The outlet did not name the woman. We were just at the wrong place at the wrong time. Who would have known my baby wasn't going to come home with me? He was good in everything he did, she said. describing Peterson as loving, caring, and a wonderful athlete. According to a GoFundMe page for funeral arrangements, Peterson was a football player, a basketball player, a brother, son, and cousin. He was making plans and looking into colleges of choice. He was not involved in any gang activity, the GoFundMe page states. The only mistake this sweet boy made was being in the wrong place at the wrong time. He was simply being a kid at a kid's party. Once again, goes back to what I was saying. This is just a very, very sad situation to know that these children were cut down and they weren't even involved. Even if they were involved, these are children. Like, you have to be some type of a sick individual to go to a children's birthday party and do this. And let alone for people to not step up and say who did what is something that I just can't agree with. And I don't understand how we let people get away with this. At some point, we as Black people in our community have to step up and say, no, we don't want these people in our community. We don't like what they're doing. It needs to stop. And yes, some of them may live in your household, and this stuff has got to stop. Because if we want to start creating generational wealth, we want to start creating better families, we want to start having something that's great for the Black community like it once was, we have to get rid of the people who are just there to cause trouble and chaos. We just have to. We can't keep making excuses for them. And I think that's what a lot of us do. Withrow said the attack appears to be targeted, but did not say why investigators believe that. We're going to say that we're confident that this was not a random act. He said at a news conference over the weekend, they walked into this area and was probably looking for somebody in particular. Why they did that, what they're part of, who they are, we don't know. Dispatch audio reveals emergency response. An emergency dispatcher said multiple 911 calls had come in on November the 29th and were reporting that there was a shooting at the address of the banquet hall, according to dispatch audio obtained by Stockton Record. One woman told the dispatcher that her son was not breathing, and there were others with injuries, the audio revealed. I want to advise that there is one down, the dispatch audio said. Officials have said it appears the gunfire started inside the banquet hall before moving outdoors. One of the entrances to the building had more than 14 bullet holes. Multiple vehicles were also towed from the scene, including some that had bullet holes, according to Withrow. So that's the article. Let me go. Let me go back. Let me show y'all a clip of one of the parents whose son lost his life at this party. If I can find it. Y'all give me a second. I got it here. I think I know where it's at. Here you go. Let's check this out.
Underway as a father of one of the victims in a deadly mass shooting in California. California is speaking out. Police say it's still a very active scene nearly 48 hours after 4 people were killed and 15 others shot at a birthday party. And now police are searching for the suspect in that shooting. Gabriel Porras from our Sacramento affiliate has his story.
Any father remembers the day their child is born.
He was just like the perfect gift from God.
But this father, Patrick Peterson, is now burdened to live with the day his son died.
All I could see is my son crawling on the ground and me trying to resuscitate him.
At just 14, Amari Peterson took his last breath.
He had one bullet hole right above his heart.
Amari and his family, a few of the dozens on Saturday who were just trying to celebrate the birthday of a 2-year-old.
I just heard gunshots and then the shooter came in and he came in. I turned my back and I looked at him and then I just started seeing him shoot. Just sit down.
Patrick's daughter was grazed, and in the panic before he could even react,
everybody running off, and then my son is just sitting there just crawling, trying to get up, so I got my baby. I had to hop back over the counter, and I'm trying to see what's going on with him. I'm trying to give him CPR and the bullet, and he just got blood coming out his face. And it's just something that a father should never have to go through.
What no one should ever endure is now on a painful replay.
Every time I get ready to lay down, I'm like laying over my son while he's sitting there breathing, trying to breathe. Every day he would tell me, "Dad, I love you. Dad, I appreciate you." Every night, every morning. Every night, every morning, that boy would tell me he loved me.
A loving boy, a gentle soul, a life taken, and a community shaken.
He was loved by like so many people. He loved sports, he loved football, he loved basketball. You know, he ran a little bit of track, but overall, he was just a gentle soul. And I just can't see why God would let something like this happen.
And a manhunt is
It's just it's ridiculous and it's sad to know that stuff like that is still going on, where people would just come into a children's birthday party and just shoot it up, and nobody is coming forward with any information. I think they say it's a manhunt going on. They're asking for cell phone footage. They're asking for any type of information that can lead to the arrest of these people, even a $25,000 reward. But like I said, it should even take somebody, to notice a reward to want to come forward, because these people didn't have, like I say, no type of code, no type of rules to say, look, we're not going into a children's birthday party to find this person that we trying to retaliate against. Let's just wait till we find them. And I'm not trying to justify it or give some type of excuse. I'm just saying, even when I was doing whatever street stuff, it was always like rules, really unspoken rules and unspoken things that you just did and you just knew, like, okay, we're not doing that. Yeah, we doing something that ain't right, but we not participating in that. But we got so many people who are willing to participate in this stuff, and some people don't see anything wrong with it. And I get that some people probably want to retaliate, and that's the reason why they're not coming forward. But like, we got to clean up our communities. We got to get rid of some of these people. They can't be around us, no matter how much they look like us, no matter how much we're close to them, no matter if it's our relative. These people cannot be here because the things that they're doing is just a detriment to all of us, and we can't flourish if these people are just there to keep causing chaos and they're not willing to make the proper adjustments in their life to improve themselves and not be in this street life, not want to go out and harm another black person. And when somebody points out these facts that, look at the black on black crime, y'all get mad and say, look, why white people do it or Mexican people kill each other. Well, if I was them, I would say, I'm around black people. These were other black people who killed innocent children. I don't want to hear the excuses about who does it and they do it too. Clearly, we don't hardly hear instances of stuff like this going on in other communities. Let's just be honest. People can get mad all they want, but we hear stuff like this from the black community so much. Shooting this and shooting that. I was just playing 2K today, and me and a youngster was talking crazy to each other. And he just started telling me how he had a Glock with a drum on it. Like, what would he possibly be doing with a Glock with a drum on it? Why is he playing 2K telling me about his Glock with a drum on it? Because we think it's cool. We think that's something to show off. That ain't nothing to show off. You're not proving anything with a Glock with a drum on it. And in my opinion, this is how these people kill innocent people. They're walking around with these modified weapons. You modifying these weapons and they don't shoot straight, and you just spraying. You got your face covered up and you just spraying. You didn't even hit the target. You hit a bunch of innocent kids and took their lives. So you killed 4, injured 11. 3 of them was children. Something has to be done about a lot of these people. Can't keep making excuses for them. Now, this was like a surprise to me when I saw this. This is It says Stockton Vice Mayor Jason Lee, the blogger, the gossip dude, the celebrity news guy. He's the vice mayor of Stockton, California, and this is what he had to say.
It's never been gangster to kill kids. Never. It's never been gangster to kill kids. You went in a birthday party and shot people's children. So I know we're here. We want, if I could just, parents brought their children out and they left with medical examiners. That is not human. That is not human. And I will say to those who are thinking of retaliation, when my brother got murdered, I thought about it too. It's human to want to hurt people who hurt people you love. But I had a choice to make, and I hope that the people out there in our community make the right choice and contact law enforcement, call me, call the mayor, call whoever you know, call the pastors, call your friend, turn yourself in. Because at some point, the redemption for what you did is gonna happen when you see the person that created you. But you can start that process by turning yourself in and doing the right thing today.
I mean, it sounds good, and I agree with what he's saying. But the thing about it is, people like him are the people who enable this stuff, because when he'll get on his show and if somebody comes on there and complains about what's going on in the community, he will, statistics show that white people do this, and statistics show that other groups are involved in this. Address what's going on in our community right now. Let's address that. You know what I'm saying? It's it's just one of those things that just make you be like, wow, really? And I'm gonna go to another clip. This one is Mike Epps, and he was talking about guys who come home from serving time and how they get celebrated. And I totally agree with him. Hold on. Matter of fact, first I'm gonna show you the mother who hosted the birthday party in Stockton, and she's gonna, say what happened there.
I threw a birthday party for my little daughter. She actually turned 2, and I just wanted all my family to come together and be together as it would be like an incident happened. As me getting ready to start my baby, to start cutting her cake and stuff, everybody's getting ready to gather around and just start cutting the cake, and all we heard was gunshots, and everybody just fell to the ground. It was just unexpected. I don't know what happened. I'm just so shocked and lost, and I'm lost of words. I'm speechless, and I just want to say I'm sorry to all the mothers out there that lost their kids at my birthday party. I don't even know what was going on. Everybody was inside. It was just a misunderstanding. Everybody was getting ready to cut the cake, like I said, and I actually thought it was my balloons popping. It was gunshots. So it's my daughter's niece. Both his nieces passed away. My sister actually got shot. My cousin got shot. My son's friend got shot. My 3 of my friends got shot. My friend's baby dad got shot and got killed. Yes, I work for the AAA Whole Life Center. I work with the youth. And this is why it's really hurting me, because I see youth all day. I see kids all day. I'm a mother of 3. So for me to see kids on the floor and just bleeding and I can't help them, and I help people that I help the youth at my job, it was hurting me not to help them on the floor. Try not to be in public all the time with your kids, because anything can happen and bullet does not have a name. I believe that if you guys ever have a birthday party, just have a birthday party indoors and
That's crazy.
don't be outside.
That's crazy where people actually think now you can't even have a damn birthday party outside for your kids. That to me, that's unfathomable for us to have to think like that's what we're gonna have to do from now. We can't have birthday parties outside for children. Most of the time when I was a kid, I knew all birthday parties for children was always outside. It may have started in the house. You know, they say come inside, let's cut the cake. But for the most part, every kid was we was outside playing. Like I said, it was something to play with. I know now back then we didn't have it, but they got bouncy houses and they have these little games that they play and stuff. I mean, I could think about times when we were outside. We was at some one of my friends' house having a birthday party. Some people was outside, some people was inside playing the game. You know, we just going back and forth, we shooting hoops, just having a good time. People that you hardly interact with, we all at this birthday party. Just to think if somebody was to just come over there and just start shooting up the birthday party. I couldn't even imagine that. That would never cross my mind. And I know for a lot of these parents, it never crossed their mind to think that somebody would really come to a children's birthday party and commit such a heinous act. Like I say, we have to get to the point where we got to start snitching. We have to start telling on these people. We have to start bringing people to justice. No matter how bad we feel about them, no matter how much we like them, we got to be honest about it. We cannot let this stuff continue to go on and be a detriment to our community, let alone our whole society. Everybody got to be able and willing to tell on them. They literally killed innocent people. Majority of them was children. Just shot them. They have modified weapons with attachments on them and don't even know what they're doing. They just running into places, just shooting up people. Like where once again, where is the code? Where is the rules when you a street person to say we not gonna do that? I didn't operate like this. A lot of people didn't operate like this. Remember people like the mob and stuff, they had rules. You don't do certain things. It's a rule. It's a way that you conduct things even when you're doing bad stuff. But obviously, a lot of people in our community don't care. They just want to run around with weapons and shooting each other, causing chaos, making trouble, not being productive. And then you wonder why people look at black folks and say, man, look how they acting. Look what they're doing. Y'all have seen me show plenty of clips of black people going in the stores, acting a fool. Y'all even seen the one clip with the black girls fighting at the Dollar Tree. One of them took the car, ran her into a building. I mean, literally ran her into the building. The wall collapsed, and for some reason, I don't know how she survived, but she got up. The girl backed the car out. She was still chasing this car down. You seen videos of people in Costco fighting over dumb stuff. You constantly see these videos of black people acting a damn fool. But we don't want to be honest about this stuff. We don't want to say, this is going on. I don't like it. The lunatic libertarian says, I wouldn't tell the authorities, I'd call the homies. Man, that's crazy. I mean, people like that are the reason why we have so many problems in our community. They're going to call the homies. Man, you need to call the police. I get it. You mad. The streets have to be cleaned up. People in our neighborhood have to be stopped. Me personally, I'm going to tell. If I know who it is, I'm going to tell on you. I could say back then I would say I wasn't going to tell, but now I'm going to tell on you. Because that's crazy. You just came and shot up kids. Like, I can't imagine why you would say, I'm going to call the homies. So you're going to call the homies and they may go somewhere and they may feel the same way. Like, okay, we don't care if it's kids over here that we're going to retaliate at. I'm going to shoot it up. Let me see if I can find a clip of, y'all remember the New Year's video? I want to say it was Philadelphia. I think that's what it was. You just had people just shooting. Yeah, here you go, right here. Here you go, right here. I mean, does anybody not see how crazy that is? Can you not see how crazy that is for them to just be shooting? You got people on the ground, you don't know if they're going to stand up or what, and you just going to start shooting at them. I mean, honestly. The lunatic libertarian, appreciate the super chat, brother. He say, when do the people of the area community stop looking at this as a viral video or monetary opportunities? Anarchy is self-reliance and security. So what I mean, I'm just asking, clarify this for me. Are you saying that I'm looking at this like it's just something to try to make money off of? Because honestly, I'm not. This is just something that I saw I wanted to speak on. I'm not looking to make no money off of it. As you can see on my page, I'm like what I got 1,040 some subscribers. Like I don't have that many people on here. So overall, when the videos that I do, I don't make any money. I mean, it's going up, but it's like a dollar or two, and that's just because of the ads that are on the videos or whatever. So like at this point, I don't make any money. I'm doing this because I like doing it. Eventually, I do hope to make money off of what I'm doing, but when I'm talking about things on my channel, I'm talking about things like that I'm concerned about, things that I want to speak on, things that I have opinions on. It's not me, okay, let's go after this to monetize it. But let me read your super chat again so I can make sure I'm understanding this correctly. And if I'm not, give me some clarification if I didn't categorize or speak on your comment here correctly. But you say, the people of the area slash community, stop looking at this as viral videos or monetary opportunities? Anarchy is self-reliance and security. Are you an anarchist, the lunatic libertarian? Matter of fact, lunatic libertarian, are you the guy who I was on the live one day and I was telling you that you're welcome to come on my show? Are you that guy? Because I want to make sure I'm speaking on it right. What's up, Goldie? Just let it go, bro. Don't worry about it. The lunatic libertarian. Appreciate your super chat again, brother. He says, as a military veteran, my homies are trained, skilled. I was saying in general, monetary value for chaos. I was not. Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I guess you kind of point to the fact maybe we should have like more of a community based people who can resolve these things, who are equipped to take care of these issues. Is that what you're saying? Because in that sense, I do kind of agree with that. I think when it comes to the black community, I think we're going to actually have to have people in the community that is going to be willing to clean this up. I think outside sources can help as far as like things that Trump was trying to do, where he was bringing in the National Guard, which is something that I agree with. I know some people didn't agree with that, but I think that we did, and some of these cities need the National Guard to come in and help the police. Just like in Chicago, even though they were so defiant in what Trump was trying to do, I think they actually needed. And we saw them. They had an incident. What was this recent incident? And let me see if I can pull that up for y'all real quick, just so I can. I want to make sure I'm saying it right. Let me make sure I'm getting this correct. It was a recent one where a bunch of people were just harmed. Okay, yeah, it was eight shot in Chicago and one dead. It was in downtown Chicago. It's a clip right here. I guess somebody's just speaking on it, but let's see what they talking about here, y'all. But yeah, I appreciate the super chats, Lunatic Libertarian. Uh, if you got anything else to say, just go ahead and put it in the chat, bro. You know, you ain't got to keep super chatting me. You know, I love it. I want the super chats, but you know, if I'm not uh relaying what you're telling me correctly, just let me know. Just correct me, sir. Please do. So you grew up in Stockton and survived, Gino. But how are okay? Just say like the question in my poll: are you willing to actually snitch, as they say, on somebody who you know that these things who participated in this act from the party? Or are we going to be as a community still be on this whole no snitching policy and not wanting to put somebody out there, not want to tell on each other? Because I think we actually have to get rid of this whole no snitching thing. And appreciate you coming through, Gino. Matter of fact, if you're watching this show, make sure y'all hit the like button, make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. I really would appreciate that. Also, if anybody want to come up, y'all just let me know, man. I can put a link down there in the chat because actually, Lunatic Libertarian just he almost hit my goal. Where hey, it's a matter of fact. I'm gonna go ahead and put the link down here. I'm gonna put the link in the chat because he did hit my goal. Close enough. This is more super chats than I ever got. So appreciate y'all. Say thank you to Lunatic Libertarian. Anybody got anything to say? I'm gonna pin it. I sent it. Let me pin it. It's pinned to the top. Lunatic Libertarian goes on to say the Black Panthers, the Rainbow Coalition, the Guardian Angels, all community organizers. Yeah, very much so. Food programs, everything. You say you imagine judges like Judge Dredd. I mean, at some point we gotta take a lot of this in our own hands. I don't want to make it so like we're just out here being vigilantes, but we have to clean this stuff up. That's what most communities do. You can rely on the government, you can rely on the police force, but it's certain things that we have to do as a community to say, nah, all right, enough is enough. Okay, y'all done. We done with y'all. This is how we gonna do this from now on. And that's just what it's gonna be. Gino says, no, they would come after my family. Stockton is too serious. That's why cops use drones in certain hoods. Wow. It's that bad. They got to use drones. They got to use drones. I'm in Texas. I've seen drones, but I haven't actually seen them use drones to try to find people. Or you know, I can't even imagine that. Goldie says the Stockton shooter was gang/rapper related. It was get back for a previous shooting, killing an op in a car with his kids in the car, so they shot up the party. That's insane. What's up, Lunatic Libertarian? Welcome to the show, brother.
How you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Thanks for having me on.
Oh yeah, no
Yeah,
problem.
what I was trying to context there is that a community that polices itself, regulates itself, is more in touch with itself. I think that cooperation versus competition is something that's lost now. I don't think that's something that we have anymore. We're more competing with each other than we cooperate.
Right. I agree with you on that. I think that we have a lot of conflict before we can ever want to. We don't want to cooperate. I mean, this is specifically to me. This is when I talk about this. I'm really talking to black people in the black community because I'm like, man, we got a lot of conflict, bro. We it's almost as if we refuse to work together. You know what I mean? And I see other groups of people. They have their issues, but when it comes to circulating money in their communities, improving their communities, improving the people. They get it done. Okay, I'm one of these people. I'm not pro immigration, whatever. But when these people come over here, some of them they get in these houses. They live tend to a house, and this person moves on. They leave the house to somebody else who comes over there. They start a business. They start getting cars. They have some type of cooperation where they trying to build something. And I'm
Yep.
just like, I wish we could do stuff like that. Say, look, okay, this is what we need to do to improve ourselves. So yeah, I agree with what you're saying, sir.
Well, I grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which is a very segregated city. That's not
Mm-hmm.
very large, maybe a population of 1.5 million. But everybody knows each other, but it's still secular. So you have one community over on one side of the city, one community on another side of the city, and then you have, I think that the Jewish community is right around the center of the city. So yeah, you have communities that are cooperating with each other. They're not competing. I think that what we've been sold as far as the dream of capitalism, right? It's sold in a way that no one can be above you, so that you can be as an individual the most decorated or the most on high, instead of everyone is accumulating their resources together and still prospering. I think that one of the things that we've really lost is the ability to house our family for longer than just the birth to 18 years. A lot of successful families live together, and it's accumulated wealth, but it's wealth within the family, and it's not an extended wealth that would be of the millionaire status. It's the extended wealth of, hey, we're all comfortable because we're all cooperating with each other within the family. I'm not competing with my cousins, my brothers, my sisters, my uncles, my nephews. We all build this family name, just like Hilfiger or Gucci or Vuitton or Lamborghini or Ferrari. That is wearing somebody's actual last name as a badge. And I get a lot of pushback, whether it be on Clubhouse or any of these other social media platforms where people can interact with each other, in the fact that technology is not acceptable anymore. It's
You
more
said
of
what is
that
not
they consider
acceptable anymore?
that ideology
Okay.
of having a family, a nuclear family, because even if you think about
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the nuclear family, that's been perverted to where it's child support, government, family court systems, oppression, control. That's what everybody's being programmed to, is the control factors and the centralized systems. And I speak this way because obviously my name is libertarian. So my ideology is vote gold, not red or blue. Vote gold because this individual wants to remove government structure, because the centralized system is no longer functioning as it did when it was prosperous. Now the centralized system is all about, you can talk about healthcare, which I believe is symptoms management. You can talk about the monetary system, which is a control factor, and that goes into how your FICO credit score is ruled, and borrowing money that your labor actually created, and you actually bring it into this economy only with your signature. And this is what classified sovereign citizens talk about, is that we don't understand the true private citizenship. We only know how to operate within the public, and that goes into our law system is maritime law of commerce and this and that. But if you look at how we're trained, we're not trained to operate on the most high of the system. We're trained to operate on the most low of the system, because the systems need operators, those that make the system function, whether it's incorporating the title or category of criminal versus policy enforcer. So I can label you a criminal, right? That would put an indication that you're a negative or a detriment on society, even though you're trying to operate in a market that's monopolized by government policy and lobbyists. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
crazy
Mm-hmm.
because heroin, methamphetamine, fentanyl are all not Schedule One drugs because they have a medical usage. So the pharmaceutical companies can import coca. Coca-Cola can import coca leaves. No one else can. So where
Thank
do
you.
we have actual free markets?
Mm-hmm. Uh, I want to go back to, I guess, what you really was talking about in the beginning when you was talking about being a libertarian and you not liking
Yeah.
capitalism. See, I like capitalism. You know what I mean? Because I
Well,
think
we live in crony capitalism versus what the true nature of capitalism is. And I didn't want to cut you off, but it's like
no. Go ahead.
I'm not opposed to
What is your what is
I'm
your
not opposed to
explanation?
capitalism. I'm not
Okay,
opposed to capitalism just as long as that failed businesses fail without government influence to back them up. The banks
I agree with
failed,
that. Mm-hmm.
bailed out. This
Mm-hmm.
other system failed, bailed out. This
Mm-hmm.
other That's not a free market. That is crony capitalism to where somebody bought a pass for failure.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with that. I do. I definitely agree with that. But it's like sometimes it feels like if we were to let some of these businesses fail, wouldn't that cause a lot of people to have lost jobs too in that instance?
Yeah, you're going to lose. You're going to lose the individual that is a part of that corporation or business that failed, right? Were they a positive or were they a detriment? A lot of where businesses fail is where people over exaggerate their skill sets. I mean, people talk a big game, but they can't produce. And I think that's another way that our system is perverse, right? So I'm a master diesel technician that has been trained formally in welding, 2-year associate's degree in welding technology, trained in certified weld inspection, certified in HVAC systems for high pressure or low pressure, whether it be for cab HVAC or for transport refrigeration, for logistics. Doesn't matter if it's on a train, a trailer, or a straight truck. It's like, where can we get back to our foundation as being producers of a positive outcome instead of being in a consumeristic kind of society that can never answer the question of everlasting human want? Human want used to be the drive for success, not let me go drive to the store and go buy an image and then try and portray that image.
No, you're right. You're right because we live in a society. What they call it a microwave society. We need it right now. You know,
Yep.
and I'm just one of these people. I believe in hard work, and like you say, with your skill set, like I think you should be paid what you're worth. You have certain skills, and if you can prove that what you do is better than somebody else's, I feel like you should get paid more. You know what I'm saying? And I also think that it kind of creates ambition for people, where for them to say, look, that person is making such and such, they're doing this, they're improving their life. Let me try to improve my skills or do something better so I can get there. Because if you don't, if you always have something to fall back on, I think that's where people lose their drive, they lose their ambition, and they kind of just give up. Let's say, yeah, I want to do something, but hey, if it doesn't work out, I'll be good because I'll still have this in the background. But you know, if I have that ambition going for myself, then I have something to work towards, and I'll always be willing to learn something new, willing to strive for something better. And that's the reason why I say I like capitalism, because I just feel like if people don't have that motivation, then you're gonna start to have what I think we're getting into now, where so many people are just willing to say, "Man, I just sit at the house, play my game, or I'll stream if I'm a good streamer, or I got my Instagram that's making me money." And to me, those skills aren't doing anything when it comes to society. You're just gonna have a bunch of people streaming and videos and things, and we're not really improving or doing nothing, productive.
Well, it's a person that's trapped inside of a box, right? This is the analogy I use. A streamer is trapped inside of a box that's trapped inside of another box, that somebody else trapped inside of a box staring into a box. There's no purpose there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people lost their purpose.
Mm.
I think that that's why
That's what I meant to say. Good point.
you have the dystopian kind of ideology. Well, I can't do anything, the discouragement, oh, the government's too big, or oh, what am I going to do? That's defeated mentality. That is trained into the human psyche. And my children are homeschooled. I was not going to allow my children to be indoctrinated by government institutions because and I use Clubhouse as a big example. There's a lot of people saying about, oh, this is a fact. You can read it here. Well, most people don't understand there's only two publishers in the entire country that produce educational information. It's isolated, and it's the same thing. Well, we only have what, three companies that produce our pharmaceutical
Mm-hmm.
uh, medicines, quote unquote medicines. It it's all isolationist. It's if we regurgitate the same thing over and over again, even though it's a lie, then it's truth because truth is only synonymous to general. It was a general consensus in scientific studies and everything else that lobotomies was probably the best thing you could do for the mentally ill back in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. Now we know that it's probably one of the most inhumane practices that ever happened. There's just
Yeah.
context, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's true. Um, what was the other point I was gonna bring up? Because you was saying a bunch of things in the beginning. Uh, I got lost. I'm sorry. Um, what did you say? I was so hung up on the capitalist thing, I was stuck in my head because I know your name is libertarian, so I was like, okay, let me ask him about this. But it was, what do you can you recall what you said after that? Because that was in the beginning of your submission in the beginning, but then you went on to something else.
Yeah, I
Um,
love capitalism just as long as it's not crony capitalism.
right.
I love when if you are producing a product or a service, goods and services that is top notch, obviously everybody's going to come towards your product. You're going to eliminate your competition. But if your competition is eliminated with legislation through lobbying, how do we have real competition? How do we have real free markets? Yet
Mm-hmm.
again, I don't think any street illicit drug dealer is a drug dealer. I don't
Oh,
think
you
that.
don't?
No, absolutely not. I
None,
think
none of
that
them. None
farmers
of them. Not meth dealers. None of them.
no, because if you look at methamphetamine, right? According to Chris Hart, is only a couple molecules away from Ritalin, Adderall, or many other pharmaceuticals.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pushed on to the youth from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. You're feeding them methamphetamine, literally methamphetamine.
I
But it's
know because
okay
they
because a
had my daughter
doctor
on
said
that. I
so.
had to take her off of it, bro. They tried to put
Well,
my
a
daughter
doctor
on it.
said
She
it was
was on
okay.
it for a little bit, and I was like, nah. I started seeing the way she was, and this is before the things that I know now. But yeah, I was like, nah, I don't like that.
So how do people vet their information now? They use a very short line, and I've argued and had arguments with many people. I don't want to talk about political pundits. Let's go take a look at the documentation. Let's go look through this 15, 20,000 pages worth of legislation and see what the document says. I don't care what see, and this is where the control factor comes in. They want you to isolate to certain words or sentences in the legislation instead of reading the entire document to get a full context of what everything is. And our legislators don't even read the document. They just
They have
vote either
staff read
party.
it, and they just
Yeah,
give them
they
the talking points from it. Mm-hmm.
it's just like reading a summary of a study instead of
Mm-hmm.
reading the entire study. It's not
Mm-hmm.
giving you the full complex idea. You're only taking certain snippets. And with the microwave generation, that's how you can manipulate people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what was the act that Obama decided that he wanted to say that it wasn't a good act to have in legislation? And the monks It was about propaganda. The monks, fuck. What? I apologize for cussing. I don't want to
No, you
forget.
good. No, you good. You good. You said what?
The Propaganda Act 2015, the
Let me
Hearst
look.
Monk
Let me
Act,
pull it
or
up.
some. Yep, the Hearst Monk Act, I think it's called.
The Smith Modernization Act. That's what I'm. Hold on. What if it's not done? Come on now. Come
The
on,
Smith
Chat
Monk
GPT.
Act, it was allowing the government to propagandize us, or it said that it was illegal for the government to propagandize us, and that was repealed.
Yeah. Okay. That's what it says. Smith Month.
Yep. So what's propaganda or what's truth? And if you look at court documents from Fox News, MSNBC, all the mainstream media, it is all opinion. If you look at what most people actually put in post on social media, these are opinion pieces. And that's how they are able to allow that information. Well, it's just that reporter's opinion or that group of reporters' opinion. It's not actual factual information. And then you look at how they write things now versus how they wrote things 30, 40, 50 years ago. I mean, everything is
They used to
propaganda.
just give. Yeah. They used to just give you what the facts about whatever they were speaking on. Now, like you say, it's how opinion based. Even the news, like everybody has an opinion. You know, they got both sides. They got a liberal, they got a conservative up there giving their opinion instead of just giving you the facts and letting you decide.
And that's what I mean. What can we trust? When you take away trust in medicine or the food supply or money, it doesn't allow the
I
individual
got
that's
you, Goldie.
participate.
I'm just over here. I'm listening to lunatic. He giving me some good game over here, so I'm just peeping out what he's saying. But I see you over there typing. I ain't forgot about you. My bad, lunatic.
Oh no, you're good. They're your guest. I'm a guest on your show. You can read them over me all you want.
Nah, you good. I mean, I'm just trying to. I'm trying to focus in what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Well, and like I told you, when I found your live stream, I was like, here's a rational individual that's looking at all the information,
Mm-hmm.
or as much as the information that this individual can have. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, he's not being divisive. He's looking at it with an objective mind. And I think that because I'm 42, I don't know how old are you.
I'm 40. I'll be 40 in a couple of days.
So we're a part of that. I'm an 83 baby. You're an 85 baby. We're from the knowledge is power was being pumped into public schools. Having skills was being pumped into public schools. If I work hard now, I don't have to work hard later. That was the
Mm-hmm.
message that was being told to
Mm-hmm.
us. We still remember all that. It,
Mm-hmm.
it
We was
the,
right
the
before
the
the internet. We was there when it wasn't even no internet. You had to go outside and play. So we got to see that whole swing when you got
Mhm.
to the internet. And everybody is like they just believe in what they see on the internet. Yeah, I agree.
I remember rotary dial.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
could
Mm-hmm.
you actually picked up the horn, and if you had a bad conversation with whoever was on the other end of the line, slamming that horn
There you
down
go.
left a ringer in that ear.
Yeah.
Technology is great when it works. I think technology is a falsehood that it allows people to swim in abundance and convenience. And I get pushback on that because a lot of people that make money in abundance say they worked hard and they don't need to do all the labor things. But yet again, it's like, where is the intellect lacking the challenges? Where's the
Mm-hmm.
strife? If you're David Goggins, the strife is in a physical path. If you're Nikola Tesla, the strife is through the mental path. And there's a lot of isolation of individuals that don't get to read, like the federal papers, read Thomas Paine, read C. Thomas Powell. I mean, read anything, literally
Anything.
anything,
Yeah, anything. Yeah.
and then have the patience to know that you don't need to comprehend it the first time. It's going to take time, and you're going to fail. And this is where participation trophies and all that crap is making everybody say, well, no, there's a reason there's a first, second, and third. It's to give you a placement as far as, well, maybe that person needs to work a little harder. This person is a servant and will just exceed at whatever they put their mind to. But yet again, it's where's the want to succeed through failure? Because it
Mm-hmm.
actually gives you the wisdom of saying, I tried this, I know it doesn't work. I know this works. And as a mechanic, I apply that because you talk to all those other technicians and you say, well, hey, man, I'm running into this problem. Oh, no, I ran into that too. This is what you need. Boom, 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 boom. And then that knowledge gets passed instantaneously, and you don't even
Mm-hmm.
have to worry about it
Mm-hmm.
because there's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
trust.
Exactly. That's what I was having this conversation with somebody the other day, and I was like, that's why some people go through life and they make mistakes. So everybody doesn't need to make the same mistakes, because if I already made the mistakes, then I could tell my daughter, oh, you trust me, don't even do like you say X, Y, and Z. Like you was talking about working on something. And people say, when check the radiator and then check this and then check. That's what you did at first. But then when you know what the problem is, you're like, don't even waste your time with it. I'm telling you exactly what it is. You can go do this and you can be done with it. You don't have to check each step leading up to that. You can go straight to this and be done with it. So yeah, man, you definitely make some good points as I'm sitting here talking to you. And like you say, man, we grew up in an era where people were more logical, and that's what I try to be. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I read things, but I can tell you read a whole lot more than me. But what the things that I do read, I try to be rational and say, okay, hold on, don't let me be manipulated about what somebody said on TV. Don't let me be manipulated about the article and what their opinion is. Let me just take the facts, let me go off what I know. Let me go off my life experiences and say, no, this is right. This is wrong. This is how it should be. And even in those instances, I could still be wrong, but to have enough knowledge to know, like, I'm open to other things. So, yeah. Hmm.
Well, when my wife was pregnant with our first child, we were ostracized because we didn't want to vaccinate. We were ostracized because we wanted to have a natural childbirth. We actually trained ourselves in that information because what's a birth plan? How does this system operate? What are they going to do? And to advocate for yourself is now frowned upon because now you're just a problem in the system instead of, well, I'm trying to be better. You know what I mean? I'm trying to be uh, more influential in my own outcomes. It's kind of crazy because I had to kick like 9 nursing students out of my wife's labor area because I'm like, you're not welcome here.
Hmm.
Then they just like full stop. Here's the birth plan. This is it. Everybody out. And my wife gave birth naturally, no interventions. Our son and we all went home the next day. And are you just gonna take the face value of something, right? Well, somebody told me that, hey man, John down the street said this is the way that it is, man, and from what I see, that's the way. Or is it Joan down the street told me this is how it is, and I see all the contradictions in the statement?
Hmm. It was
I
one
think we
point in my life where I was down. I was probably about 24, 25, and things weren't going my way, and I thought I was depressed. And I already know you probably heard this story before, so I go to the doctor and tell them how I'm feeling, and they're giving me medication. And I'm taking the medication, but it's not really making a difference. And I'm just kind of scrolling, even on YouTube and other videos and TV and different articles, and people are saying they putting people on these drugs. They don't need to be on these drugs. And I got to thinking, you know what? This is really a mind over matter type of thing. I can just change my mindset, and I would be okay. And I immediately threw those pills out, and I'm telling you, like my whole mindset changed. I was like, I never even needed those. I didn't need something to tell me I wasn't depressed. All I had to do was say, look, I'm gonna take a different direction. Let's just try something different. Just like you say with the natural birth. I'm gonna do something different. I'm not gonna do what everybody says I should do. I'm gonna take control of my path. And when you realize that when you take control over your own path, how much better things are for you, it's a great feeling, bro. It is a great feeling because things are gonna go your way, the way that you want them to go. hmm
When you ask people what do you really own, if you, they say a house, a car, if you pay insurance or anything like that, you don't really own that product, right? Or you pay
hmm
taxes on it constantly, you don't really own that product because it's basically like a long-term lease. You're still paying for it or paying to operate it. I thought I paid for all this already. I got to constantly keep paying. What's that?
Right. How do
You
I
know.
own this if I'm in perpetual debt? hmm
So what have you been programmed with versus what is reality? And when you talk about depression, like I spent 9 months at the VA going through PTSD training and then, one of the days I decided I'm going to go up to the VA library. And then I started reading the policies that were written for reintegration of veterans under the Bush Jr. administration from, I think, 2002. And it was bananas. Like it's a whole topic in itself. And then when you look at General Shinseki said, we're not going to have any more homeless veterans. And then it shot all the way up to Vietnam era homelessness and then surpassed it. And then with the suicides, it surpassed it. It's like it's really it's really bananas when you look at what systems cause as far as problems and then their so-called solutions. So I've been on every medication you can think of as far as like DSM diagnosed entities, right? So you got lithium, you got what do you got? Lithium, you got Paxil, you got Effexor XR, Effexor, you got all these drugs,
I
right?
was on Zoloft. I think they had me on Zoloft.
Zoloft too. One of the pain medications they gave me, it starts with a T. Actually, one of the side effects is depression symptoms.
hmm
So, and it wasn't tramadol; it was something else, but it got recalled. So, the human intervention actually caused more detriment than it did for a positive. So it's like when you go to the VA, they have this big poster on the wall of your patient rights. And when you live there in the domiciliaries, I actually went to the nurse and said, I don't have to take any drug that I feel is not for me. And she's like, well, if you don't do what your doctor says, that's a reason for us to kick you out of here. Oh, I have the right to refuse any drug I don't think is a benefit to me, but you're going to kick me out of this institution of rehabilitation if I don't comply. Oh, okay. This is another control system. The systems of control in healthcare, monetary, government, school, it's really kind of wild if you are a free thinker, how much people want to put you back into line so that you comply.
The I got a guest over here, Gold. He want to know, have you ever watched Zeitgeist?
Negative.
Yeah, I've never watched Zeitgeist either.
Is it a television show or a docu series?
I don't know. Let me look it up.
I rarely watch a lot of stuff nowadays, just for the simple fact that I know that it's programming me for something that's for the control, for the benefit of
Right,
someone else.
right. You damn right. I looked it up. I think it's a movie. He says it's at YouTube. Yeah, I've never seen it, but yeah, I'm like you. I some things I don't really even go down that quote unquote they say a rabbit hole because I'm like nah. Because I've already when the internet first came out, I'm one of the people. I'm looking up stuff and just kind of believing everything I'm seeing, every video. But yeah, nah, I'm far from that. I'm far from that. I like documentaries. So really, anytime I'm watching a documentary, I either have to watch different documentaries about that same topic, or either read a book or some type of article before I can say, okay, those facts were straight and those facts were straight. I don't typically just watch one documentary about something and be like, okay, yeah, in 19 such and such this happened and that happened. This one, no, I have to watch a couple of them. Like even for some reason, don't take this for what it is. Uh I kind of like those Nazi documentaries because they had so much stuff going on that I was just kind of fascinated, like the things that they were into. So before I ever speak on that, I've watched so many documentaries, so many. I mean, I can't even imagine it to tell you how many I've watched. But I just think that they were into a lot of things that would kind of blow your mind away even today. But that's besides the point.
Well, I mean, documentaries are nice, right? So before the Smith Month Act was redacted and repealed, documentaries actually gave you factual information, not to push an agenda. So you can watch a vegan
Hmm.
documentary, and it pushes the vegan agenda. When I look at any kind of sourceful information, yet again, because I have to have resourceful
So you
information for
saying
practical institutions.
you saying that Smith Monk Act actually made it where they can push an agenda? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because we had it for veganism, we've had it for vaccines, we've had it for seed oils, we've had it for bacon. We've It's just a giant advertisement for the topic at hand. So it, if you vet information, yet again, you have to take one side, then the other, and then try and find the truth in all of it. So yet again, a lot of people don't use first source information. They use second, third, fourth source information. Primary documents is a very big thing for me because I've been told stuff by other mechanics and other technicians that's absolute garbage. And, either they were trying to be malicious or they just didn't understand the functionality of the system they were troubleshooting. But yet again, if you take an engineering standpoint at stuff and how the system operates, it's more logical to deduce what am I missing that it isn't allowing the system to operate, right? So if you look at what is it, social programs, what does every social program run through? It's a 501c3. So if you want to apply for public benefits, you're literally not going to the government. You are going to a 501c3 nonprofit that's facilitating your benefits to the government.
hmm
And the only
Like
reason I know
food
this is
stamps and stuff. The what is it? The
right.
food. The food.
W-2, WIC,
Yeah.
whatever. So that's a 501c3 nonprofit that's completely funded by the government.
hmm
But it's not a government entity,
hmm
but
hmm
yet it is. So my big stick on public publicly funded social programs is that there's so much fraud, waste, and abuse in all these programs. They're literally crippling other systems. And then Democratic socialists want to come in and say, oh, well, we'll just stack more bureaucracy and more systems on top of it. That'll solve it. excuse me, and we'll throw more money at it. Still doesn't solve the problem. Because if you look at any 501c3 or any of these organizations, maybe a half a percentage point of the money that's brought in goes to the real problem. 99% of all of it goes to buildings, employees, and a board of directors.
You saying exactly what I've said. Now, I usually miss the part about the whole 501c3 thing, but I always point out the fact because I know it's an organization down here that's supposed to take care of homeless people, but you go down to the building, they only have staff in there, and they can't tell you how many people they've helped. And you see people with nice cars and a building, and you like, look, this is where all this funding is going into because there's nobody that's being helped. And the time that I went, they kind of ran me out the building because I just was asking too many questions. But I was like, y'all have so many staff in here that y'all paying. How could y'all possibly be helping anybody? Nobody's in here. You know what I'm saying? So, but
Veterans
yeah, I mean, the way that
organizations
you
is a
break
big
stuff
one.
down is definitely something that I'm lacking personally on this channel, and I don't convey things like other people's do, and I don't have an issue with that, and that's why I invited you to come over. Gen X Army, he usually comes over and speaks on things because when I'm going through this stuff, I'm still learning, bro. Like I could be wrong about some of the things I'm saying, but I'd rather be around people who actually have knowledge than around some people who are just talking, you know. I don't mind people who just want to talk or just say things, but I like people who are they've delved into things, they got experiences like you, saying you're a veteran, just like Gen X is. So yeah, I welcome that type. I'm still a young man. I'm still going through life, so I don't know everything. Yeah, so it just is what it is. But like like I was saying earlier, we probably will butt heads on some things, but I like the type of conversation that we can have. You know, we can go back and forth. You may correct me. I may say, no, I don't believe that. You believe this, and it just is what it is. But I like these type of conversations, bro. And I appreciate you coming over here. And also because, like I said, I'm still a small channel, and I appreciate you with the super chats. But look, if it's when you come over here, if you want the link, all you gotta do is say, "Hey, man, I want to come up." Boom! I just put the link in there. You ain't got the super chat or. I'm not that type of individual, bro. Like once I get to that point, I don't know. I would love to get paid and do it. Yeah, but somebody want to come up here and speak for the most part, I don't mind, man. You come up here and speak as long as it ain't on some BS. It's all good. What's up, Gen X? Speaking of Gen X, there he is right there. Yeah. So Gen X, you want to come up here and speak too, man? You welcome. But yeah, I hate to cut you off. I'm sorry about that, lunatic.
Oh no, man, you ain't cutting me off. I'm a guest on this podcast, this show, this live stream. I appreciate you bringing people on. I'm not. A lot of people think that I'm a troll because I bring up just in generalities. I don't speak on specifics, right? So the Constitution stated that all men are created equal, right? I'm not going to isolate that to what was happening in practice at the time. I'm going to take that ideology of how they want it to be expressed outside of their time.
Mm-hmm.
I have the right to congregate with like-minded people. I have the freedom of association. I have the freedom of the press that says that if I want to speak out against something, I can publicize it, right? These are all granted freedoms of the United States. And I think that a lot of people don't understand that if you don't like the systems that are at bay, you don't have to be on one side or the other. You can agree that the systems are failures. How they're failing is usually where the conflict, starts off, and then it starts going into, well, you need to do your research, you need to do this, you need to do that. And usually I tell people like, well, I'm a master tradesman, so I'm not reliant on my monetary system to accomplish goals because I'm lacking knowledge. I'm a veteran. I've been overseas. I've experienced that whole thing. So, and I swore an oath to the Constitution of the United States. I'm a felon, so I've been to jail. I've done all that stuff. I've been ostracized. I've been on probation. I've gone through that system, and I'm very thankful that I went through it before 2010, because I'd probably still be in prison to this day. You know, I was facing 15 years for threatening to blow up a police department when I was drunk. So it is what it is, you know. But I have no preservation about my security, as far as I'm not worried about getting doxxed. I'm not worried about people showing up to my house.
Hmm.
Believe me, it'd probably be fun if they did. I'm not worried about my security. You
Hmm.
know, I'm the things that people think make them secure are absolutely false senses of security. You think you can call 911? I remember my mama saying, "You can call 911, but just remember, there's going to be a time lap before they get here.
Yep.
So just remember, if I'm going to jail, I'm going to go jail for a reason."
Hmm.
And you know, it's the life lessons of people that are our age or around our age is different than those that are, you know, early 90s, mid 90s, late 90s, 2000s babies. I mean, we're becoming the old heads of this of the generation, but we were raised different, you know. And I grew up in the inner city. I grew up in poverty. I grew up with not having money. You know, we wearing the key around the latchkey kids. You know, we walked to school. We came home. You let yourself in. You made sure you locked that damn door and didn't answer it for nobody until mama came home. I mean, that's just how we were raised, and it's just a difference of self-reliance than the coddled and the participation trophy generations that got video games and microwaves and drive-throughs.
Hmm. And yeah, speaking of that microwave generation, like they want everything now. But even me, like I grew up in the hood, but then my dad ended up getting a good job. But still, that's why I say I know the value of certain things, because I was always incentivized to constantly do better, even in school, right? Like I was getting grades, and my dad was like, if you maintain these grades, because that video games started to be like popular, and I was in the video games, so he's like, you maintain these grades, look, I'll get you this game. You do it again, I get you this game. You know, I played sports. He like, okay, if you keep your grades up and then you do good in the sport, if you go hit me a home run tonight or you get a touchdown, I'll get you this and get you that. So I'm constantly trying to improve in everything that I'm doing. That's why I am the way I am today. And I never thought that stuff really made a difference until now, like the age I'm in, where I'm like, okay, I really appreciated how I was raised. And I know a lot of people wasn't raised like that. But even then, like I got cousins who say, oh, my dad wasn't there and my mom wasn't there. And this is the reason why I'm like, you got to take accountability of your own life, bro. I look, I wasn't even raised the way I was, and I started getting involved in a lot of street stuff. But look, that wasn't on my parents. That was on me. Like I can't. Who could I blame for that? I was on a good path, but I chose another path. So that's on me. I had to take accountability for that. Done the time, you do the crime, do the time, you move on. And now those same people who are still involved in this stuff, I don't hang out with them, and I don't make no bones about it. Even when I see them around town, I'm like, look, y'all want to do that goofy shit? Go ahead, be my guest. It's not gonna be me. Everybody got free will. But I digress.
Well, black
Uh,
markets, I think, is the reason that I say that I don't think street dealers are actual drug dealers. Because if you were to take that same mentality and flip it into a legit business, it's a different outcome. If they
hmm.
were an actual competitor to those that are monopolizing that system.
Hmm. Yeah, I think. Hmm. I see. I do get what you're saying. I think it's just the fact that I just feel like a lot of those drugs do harm to the people around us, and I've seen what they've done, and I just don't like it, you know. But I definitely get your point of what you're saying. How even the government is pushing drugs and it's legal, but people in the street do it and it's illegal. But they are doing it on such a grand scale that it's like, yeah, okay, that's perfectly normal. But y'all are actively harming millions and millions of people, and they're harming maybe thousands or hundreds of people. But they're going to jail for life, and those people at the top are making millions and billions of dollars going home and living these luxurious lives. So I understand.
Well, my body, my choice, right? That's a great
Right.
argument for abortion or what people say is women's health care, right? It depends on the nomenclature or the verbiage that you're using to elicit the emotional response because it's definitely and I keep saying this, it's programming. So is doing street drugs a good thing?
What up?
If you can take heroin and go to work and come home and you're not detrimental to your family or anything, because this is a Joe Rogan experienced example. Guy come to, go to work, hit the fish market, get off on his lunch break, take a hit of heroin, come back, do his job, go home, take another hit of heroin, do it all over again. It's the same ideology as a functional alcoholic, but alcohol is legal, but not back during prohibition. And I have another story about prohibition about how it eliminated ethanol or fermentation of corn so that farmers couldn't produce their own petrol.
I've always heard about that. I've always heard about that. I always I need to really look into that.
What's
Ain't
good,
that what
everybody?
ain't that kind of what they use, well they are using it now when you go to some gas stations. It's got
Yeah,
ethanol. Yeah.
E85.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I use in my Mustang.
You use E85 in there?
Yep, when I race.
Okay.
What kind of Mustang?
That's the 2016 5.0. Yes, sir. Then when I'm not driving that, I got the 4Runner. So especially up here in Washington.
Yeah, I
What's up,
ran
Jimmy?
963 at 126 in a 72 Mach 1 Mustang. And then my father's got a '05 Pro Mod that runs with the Chicago Wise Guys. That's 7 flat, 598 big block Ford, 500 shot of nitrous.
I ain't trying to go that fast. I do it for the fun. Light the light. Catch me on somewhere random in Texas or Dallas. Out on was that old Houston School Road going out towards damn. I forgot way out there. It's like east.
uh
East Dallas. I can't remember.
like
Houston
Grand
School Road.
Prairie.
Yeah, the industrial area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's where I used to race. So I ain't raced in a while because I've been here in Seattle. So it's all about rock climbing and camping out somewhere where
Nature.
nobody else is. Hell yeah, that's why I like it. That's why I moved
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
At least for the next 2 years, I'll be here. Then I move back down to Dallas, where it's at, so I can enjoy the cheaper prices of everything compared to Seattle city life. Damn, I
Lunatic,
missed
you
it.
say you in Milwaukee? You say Milwaukee?
I was born and raised there, but I no longer live in Milwaukee. I live
Okay.
in the country. I moved
Okay.
myself out to the country. I got chickens, and I don't worry about that hectic city life. I like to be able to drive 10 miles, and it takes me 10 minutes instead of 10 hours.
Well, it
You ain't
depends
lying
on where
about
you are
that.
though. Cause like here in Seattle, it's like we got one major road, I-5. And fucking in Dallas, we got Loop 12, we got 75, 45,
20. Yeah.
35, 20, 10.
Mm.
So yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So as long as you can follow Loop 12, you'll eventually get to where you're going. Because if you get lost, just
Mm-hmm.
get on Loop 12. It'll circle you around the entire fucking Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
You got what? Like President George Bush. You got
Yeah.
what's the other one? What's the other
Is
one you
it
got to pay
Lyndon
for?
B. Johnson?
Yeah, Lyndon B. Johnson. Like, you got all the damn roads.
Yeah.
We got roads that look like this.
Both
Hey,
horrible human beings have roads named after them. That's kind of crazy. That's
man.
just like you can get a presidential award that's after a damn Nazi, a true SS Nazi that has the scar across his face. It's kind of crazy.
Now, you been on for an hour already? Yeah, hour and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I've been on
just
her.
noticed it.
I probably got about 30 minutes in me before I go to sleep. I gotta go to work tonight.
Oh yeah, it's like what, like
Thank you
seven.
for your service, Andre.
Yeah.
I just want to say that real quick. Thank you for your service.
Appreciate it. Thank you for
He's a
yours
vet
too.
too, Lunatic.
Yeah,
I
Navy
mean I
Seabees.
mean John
Okay,
Gen
gotcha.
X. I'm talking about calling him Lunatic.
Yeah, I did all 20 in I want to get promoted, but they talking about 4 extra years. I'm like, I'm good. Just let me get
You
out
had enough.
because going from 7 to 8,
Yeah, give me a second, real quick.
I'm good. What's the video about? Or what was it? Oh, the shooting. Yeah, duh. I just saw him. I just
Yeah, I came in and I said, yeah, I just called my homies because we need actual community policing, not policy enforcers. And I think the police are no longer in the best interest of the communities, which I don't think is. I think that's a fallacy. Even if you look at how gangs were created in this country, they wanted to police their own communities and not be policed by the policy enforcers, right? So, I mean, where where do you think we've subcontracted our security? Because I ask that question all the time. I think that humans in the United States have subcontracted their security as far as education or training, healthcare, and now you don't have a self accountability for anything. And if you do have any detriment, now you're basically have to beg somebody else to do something for you.
like I would say Seattle's somewhat getting to where Chicago is because today we just had another police involved shooting. Yesterday we had another guy get shot. This past weekend, over the weekend, we had a couple of teenagers stole the car and shooting at police and shooting at random people as they sped by. So, yeah, we have at least 3 people die every week here in Seattle, from what I've been, you know, paying attention to. And here in Seattle, the police want to do their job, but the last mayor that we had, their hands were tied. They couldn't do nothing. Because you got people, you could literally, I see it all the time. I could be walking down Seattle, any street in Seattle, you see homeless. They just token up. I'm talking about fentanyl, crack, heroin, everything. They can't do nothing. It's just like how they did it in Portland last year and the year before. They legalized everything. So same here. And the thing is like I said, the police want to do something, but every time they do something, they get out the same day. Like one guy, he shot. I guess the guy was an illegal. He couldn't speak English, so he couldn't testify. So they let the guy go. Same day he
Wow.
shot. Same day guy got shot. He said they didn't want to say nothing because everybody that was there with him, they couldn't speak, and they didn't want to get deported. So the guy, he's laughing. They did a little interview. He was laughing as he walked off. You know, got his gun back and everything. I'm like, damn, because the dude was hitting on the dude that got shot's wife. The dude come up there and said, "Yo, what the fuck?" Start speaking Spanish. The dude's like, "Oh, you threatening me? You threatening me? Pop, pop, pop." Yeah. So, and it's crazy too because it's like we got what's going on in Chicago and the same thing that's happening over in Dearborn. We got a lot of people here as well. They're doing their whole Sharia law. Like last year we had a father and mother tried to strangle their daughter to death because they sold her to some guy in Iraq and she didn't want to go. So she tried to, be with her boyfriend. Dad found out and tried to strangle her right there in front of everybody at school. So yeah, that's the type of stuff that's going on here. We see it every day. As far as
Now
like the
the
policing though, gotta do something. Like I said, as far as what Trump's doing, get the National Guard out there, but at the same time, like they really can't do nothing because it's like people who've been in this, we know we can't do nothing unless there's some type of actual insurrection or something going on where okay, we got to protect these people, lock and load, safe deliver, safe to semi, watch your lane, and we can't do nothing until that happens. So all we just glorified,
Yep.
security guards
Check
and
the rules of
people.
engagement, you'll find out real quick.
Yeah, and even if they like here in Portland, because I went down to Portland a couple of times and saw what was going on, as far as like the ICE facility down there, they can't do nothing. They just stand by, protect the government assets. That's it. Anything outside of that, we can't do nothing. And police are on the outskirts, just watching everything go down. Unless somebody comes up there and actually pushes or punches a National Guard guy, they just sit back and they can't do nothing. So it's like, I get, it looks cool, but at the same time, like it's a waste of
hmm
money. So
Well, I see that there's a question in the chat here that says, "Are you about abolish the police?" I actually am, but here's my
Oh,
counterpoint
I
to
didn't
that.
see that.
I'm about training human beings to have skill sets to where they aren't victims. And I'm about, if everybody has the ultimate judgment and they are trained to implement that judgment, if they are at risk or they are threatened, yet again, but the mentality changes in society when everybody is holding a weapon, regardless if you're 4'5" or 6'10" and 500 pounds. If you have trained human beings that are skilled to deter violence against them, then violence is already deterred. And then if you understand that violence can be implemented upon you if you are the aggressor, I think that subsides a lot of the violence when you equalize society by training everyone mandatory. Now, yet again, you might have levels of who's better or worse, but yet again, you're not going to get a participation trophy if you're trying to rob somebody and they're higher, they have a higher skill set than you in violence or deterring violence or deterring being a victim.
Well, I don't know. It just depends on. I would say case by case basis. City, state, wherever you are, because you got to remember back during George Floyd how they took over one of the main Seattle police stations for a month. They had a whole block pretty much blocked off where anybody within that block can do whatever they want. There's no police presence. So it depends. Like I know as far as like the training, say you train police to do a certain thing, and say responded to, what I used to do when I was in the military. Freaking, we got to respond to a possible, domestic. Come to find out, this guy or female, either or, they suffer some type of mental issues. Us as soldiers, a lot of even like a lot of police force, civilian police force, they're not trained to deal with mental issues. So and I see you come at me with a knife, or police officers come at you see him come at you with a knife. You try to talk him down, but at the same time, it's like he got a knife, and it doesn't take any type of force just to if I can lunge on you and get it. I don't have any type of skill whatsoever. If I could just get the first move on you, I could probably stab you, hurt you. As far as, and then like all people always want to say, why didn't he shoot to do this? Why didn't he shoot him in the leg or shoot him in the arm? We're not trained to do that. We're trained to aim center mass, no matter what. So, well, you could have done this. He had a knife. It was like 4 of y'all. Okay, 4 of us versus 3 of us, guns on. One guy he's facing towards. So, what then? Oh, well, you got pepper spray. You got this. You got taser. I'm like, you guys say that, but I've been pepper sprayed numerous times being in the military and tasered. People who eat lots of pepper, you are somewhat immune to it. Like I can still go through a combat sim course, fully pepper sprayed, and get to the end. Still take down the person, put them in hand irons, and still have to get tased at the end of it. People know how to. If you know what you're doing, like depends on your body, your tolerance level. It's not going to do nothing. Training can only get you so far. It's just different as far as like I said, until state by state. Seattle, they can't do nothing unless it's an actual terroristic threat. Anything outside that, they can literally sit there and watch you push another man down. They can't do nothing. Unless you push that man down, drag him to the street in oncoming traffic, that's where they can come in. Anything up to that, there's nothing they can do.
Correct, and that's public policy that doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't allow for policing to happen. And when I talk about everybody being trained, I mean it's like you're trained from 3, 4 years old all the way through your entire life of these skill sets. And it's to, like I said, it's to level the playing field so that the idea of mutually assured destruction is broad based, right? So you don't want to implement any kind of hurt or detriment on somebody else. But like I was telling Roddy earlier, a lot of people have lost their purpose
Mm-hmm.
because of other systems, right? So if we were to integrate one security system as far as I'm trained in these skill sets, then you implement the food supply system. Your food is nutrient dense and you don't have to worry about being malnourished. And then you implement your training system or your education system to where It's actual functional training, not regurgitation of random facts to make sure that you meet a curriculum. You know what I'm saying? It's everything is purposeful to make sure that society is prosperous as a whole and doesn't want to harm anybody because you've already eliminated that, right? But yet again, there's mentalities, there's training or programming that's instituted in all parts of society and how it functions. So, is it utopian or dystopian? Right now, I think society is very dystopian.
Yep.
It's run into authoritarianism, where you have the government telling you, well, you can't have 20 grams of sugar today because you've already reached your allotted social allowance. It's kind of crazy, you know. Um, but I'm not saying that these systems didn't operate in a better type of environment years ago. I just think that it's become so perverted that, hey, if I'm a killer, but I can make words rhyme together, hey, I can be a millionaire. And everybody could say that I'm one of the greatest people in the world, right? But
Mhm.
then you understand, if you look deep dive into how these situations come about, you can say, well, the CIA has implemented this, that, and the other throughout different communities for control in many different aspects, right? So a lot of the stuff that's coming out now, I'm very conspiratorial because I just chase information. It's you find out, oh well, the hip hop police was real. More
Very
influence is
much
put
so.
in, or more into one rapper versus another rapper to make sure that that message gets pushed versus another one, right? So it's manipulation and control, in my opinion.
Like for everything to go, the way we want it to go as far as, policing, like I said, it's every state's different. Federal is federal. It's across the board, whether from here, Seattle, all down to Florida, everything in between. The federal, their law is law. There's nothing really changing, but it's state to state. What one does in one state versus another go to another state, as far as trying to make everything cookie cutter. This, black and white. As far as this is the law, this is what we're gonna do. It's gonna take time to work all that out. If you try to just overhaul the complete system, but that's not gonna happen overnight. It's not gonna happen within the next couple of years, just because we got too many people, especially like the two-party system, technically three-party system, if you want, Democrats, Independents, Republicans, whatever you want to call it these days. And my ideals may be different from your ideals as far as this is what we should do as far as the police force. Your ideals, well, okay, we shouldn't do this. We should, you know, be about this part as far as this is what I want in my community, hire somebody from this community to deal with this type of people versus somebody from the outside to come in that doesn't know anything about these type of people. And that's where you have a situation like, the whole Derek Chauvin, stuff happened where, dude knelt on his neck. People who know his area, know the type of person, the life he's about. Okay, yeah, this is the type of guy, this is his crimes, we know what he usually does, versus, okay, this guy looks like he has a bone to pick with him, so he's going to fight back. I'm going to put a little bit more, authoritative. I'm going to stamp on his, like, kneel on his neck, like, yo, quit moving. It's just like some of the dumbest stuff as far as what we got. So if I'm here, old Sergeant Johnson, McKinney Police, and I'm going to pull you over for, like pull myself over for, speeding. People who follow laws or people who, what's the word, obey the law. Random Joe Schmo, okay, got it. I'm a fuck up, granted. Then you got somebody else come in. I didn't do nothing. I know my rights. We got too many people who think they know the law. You can't tell me what to do. If a police officer pulls up on the scene, he tells you, he starts barking orders at you, and you say, well, you can't do that. That's what we have a court system for. Everything's on body cam. Other people around you recording. Just do exactly what he's saying. When you go to court, you can fight it there. If you try to fight back because you feel like you're being disrespected or you feel like you were in the right, it's never going to win. You're never going to win that. It's what you're a cop versus you. You're going to lose every damn time. That's why you should tell everybody when I used to get pulled over. When I used to pull people over, the same exact thing. So I don't understand why. It's just these. It's just like I say. It's just at the end of the day, it's too many individual thinkers out there who want to misinterpret the law or interpret the way they want, apply certain laws to them versus to me, and vice versa. So we're not going to get this fixed out anytime soon. Like Chicago, what happened is going to happen again. I would say by next week. It's going to happen like that everywhere. Like I say, 3 people died this week alone, and we're just on Tuesday. So like I say, by Friday, I could see another 5, 6 people getting killed here in Seattle alone. I can only imagine it's happening everywhere else around the world or in the U.S.
So let me ask both of y'all a question. How do y'all feel about, like, what I think is it Israel, where you have to do 2 years of military service? How would y'all
Yeah,
feel about
conscription
something like
service.
that
Yeah,
happening over here?
and I think they should because, well, for men, like in Korea, and other countries outside of U.S. U.S., Canada, I think parts of the UK. They're the only countries that don't have to do that. Like Korea, Mexico, a lot of the Eastern countries, 2 years mandatory. That's even women. So women don't have to join the military. However, they got to join some type of civil service. But a lot of women do join the military. Because you can knock it out. Even that includes Peace Corps. Here in the States, when a man turns 18 or a boy turns 18, between 18 and 25, he has to, register for selective service. That's, go back to, Vietnam, the whole being drafted in the service goes back then. And a lot of people, they go, oh, fuck that. I'm not going to join the military. Military is a bunch of suckers. But at the same time, too, like, I got kicked out of college my first year. I got a scholarship for wrestling. Me doing stupid shit, using steroids, smoking weed, I got kicked out. I was going to SMU. So military was not on my radar whatsoever. But being, sent back home, my mother's mad at me. I'm 18 years old. I'm like, what the fuck I'm going to do? So I joined the military just to get out the house because I didn't want to hear her complain about nothing. But lo and behold, that was probably the best thing I could have done. I would get 20 freaking years, got out, retired, paid for the rest of my life. Got shot in combat. So my kids got to go to college for free. So everything, got to buy houses and all the other shit, the basic bullshit that you get in the military, 100% VA, retirement, the whole nine. So, yeah, I think people should join the military, but the thing is, it's like when I joined, the patriotism of the U.S. it's done a whole 180 since I've been in the military. A lot of people, you see, you could tell who's patriotic, who's not. Like here in Seattle, well, I would say all the states from, say, Idaho, well, I would say Montana, partial Montana, going straight down, and everything to the west. It's all about fucking, they're Democrats. It's like free-thinking liberals, men can be women can be men. I just did a video on that. Like, but at the same time, too, we got people who think, okay, if a man could be a woman, then a white man could be a black man, or vice versa. So yeah, we should join. That should be a mandatory thing. You turn 18, register for selective service, or at least do 2 years, whether it's military, whether it's some type of, Peace Corps for 2 years, or some type of civil service. Give back to the community for 2 years. Within that 2 years, you can learn a trade. That's beneficial. A lot of people don't want to do that. They think college is the only way. I was told that when I was in high school. College. College didn't do shit for me. I got 2 degrees. I ain't used not one of them since I've been out. But the stuff I learned in the military, I use that shit on a daily basis.
Well, that's kind of like what I was saying is that instead of using the timeline of being 18, right? Why shouldn't we train them at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, right? So if you're an amateur boxer, they say get into boxing at 8 or 9 years old, train, get your reflexes. There's a lot of videos on Instagram of children even younger than that.
Mhm.
And just depending on what discipline of skill you're trying to implement, right? That's what I mean is that I think that we're highly educated, but we're very low trained, right? Because education is regurgitation. If I can memorize information and give it back to you, I'm
That's all college
educated.
is. That's all
Well,
college is.
that's what I. Right.
Your ability to
So
reference.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh no, it's just your ability. Are you okay? Here's the assignment. Okay, do this assignment. I just go just research it, bring it back. This is what I found on this particular topic. Where's my A? That's all it is. Just your ability to reference information and regurgitate it. Just like you said, it's like, if you can reference, if you don't know the information, but like you teach in the military, when you go to military boards, you got to learn certain things, for promotion. You don't know shit, but you learn it, and all you're doing is just reading up on it to regurgitate back the answer that you learned back, so they can fact check the stuff that you already know. Okay, he's good. He know how to remember shit. Here's his promotion to sergeant. Who, that's pretty much it. But I say like 18 though, the age, because that's when we consider people a legal adult, you know. So that's why I say age of 18, voting, all the other shit. Could we learn it younger? Sure, but at the same time, they can't carry a weapon. But certain things, like gymnastics, boxing, karate, other trades, at a younger age for sports, yeah, they learn it at a younger age. When I was young, I'm from Oklahoma originally. I learned to shoot when I was 10. I used to go hunting with my grandfather, 12 gauge buck, all the other stuff. But moving from there to a city, I can't really use those skills anymore. So it just depends on where you are, for whatever type of training you do. That's why I said 18. And then, that's the federal 18 to 25 also.
Well, my oldest son is 13. So he's been training with me and everything all the information that I have, regardless if it's about diesel technology, welding, electrical, HVAC, because I'm certified in all of the skilled trades. You could technically say like I said, I'm a master tradesman. So to learn all those skills on top of, well, how do you do proper calisthenics? How do you do proper physical exercise? How do you do proper nutrition? How do you do proper anything, right? It's it can be introduced much younger, and I think that we've come into this normalization that, oh well, you have to reach these peaks according to some kind of schedule that the medical industry pulled out of their ass. It's if you can implement, like my 5 year old right now, he's learning his numbers in Spanish and English. He's learning his words in Spanish and English, and I'm sure that I can introduce probably like 5 or 6 other languages. But by the time he's 8, as long as he's trained in it and implements it and fails and then learns where the failures are and then re-educates himself, he will be, on a different level than if we were to baby them through life, right? If you can handle a firearm at a young age, hey, there are very skilled marksmen that, yet again, it doesn't matter if male or female, 8, 9, 10 years old, been doing it for years, that can outshoot, quote unquote experts that are military trained. So, I mean, that's what I mean when I'm talking about training everybody. Give them the functional information that they need to make their life prosperous. Food source, nutrition, physical exercise, and purpose, regardless of what the subject matter is.
I get what you're saying, but you got to think about the kids. I call them kids. Anybody under the age of 30 to me is you're a kid. You don't know nothing yet. But you got to look at the people we're dealing with these days. These are the type of people that they're on their phone. They wreck, just being on their cell phones doing dumb shit. These people, they can't make up their beds. They have no type of, they can't read. They're not even at grade level reading. They graduate in high school. Not
Yeah, they're not trained in anything. They basically been left out to the wild.
We let society water down so much. You're a Gen Xer, I'm assuming, right? Okay, so yeah,
I'm 42. Yeah, I
okay,
grew
I'm
up. We were
47.
talking about it earlier. I grew up with the rotary dial and the whole shit.
I'm 47, so yeah, I grew up. Calisthenics was a thing. Until okay, this guy got some actual power. Maybe we should get him out of the little PE. They got me into wrestling. They got me into football. That's how I earned my way. Through high school and through college with my scholarship. But yeah, that's what we did. there was balanced nutritional breakfast. We learned about that stuff in school. They don't do that stuff anymore. As far as teaching basics like cursive writing, home
They
ec,
don't even teach that
wood
anymore.
shop, mechanic shop, stuff like that. They don't do stuff like that anymore. You got to go to specialized schools or the bigger schools, like these 4A, 5A, 6A schools for them to learn, teach stuff like that. These smaller schools, especially in these, the smaller towns, a lot of this stuff isn't done anymore. You got like the PE coach is like, I don't know, the basketball coach and doubles as the English teacher. So he could do three different things, but he's not going to be excellent in either of them. He's just the basics. That's why, they talk about the music, taking the music out of school and all this stuff back in the day. Remember they had those commercials when we was growing up? People don't know this stuff like that anymore. They took sex ed pretty much out of school. I remember going through sex ed. I was in like fifth grade. There was never such thing as, anybody being pregnant when I was in middle school, junior high, high school. There was no pregnancy whatsoever. Now you got people, 14, 15 years old being pregnant these days. It's like it's the basics, and this goes back towards the home. It's just the basics of being a human. Mothers, fathers, they're not there for their kids like they used to. The kid spends more time with the teacher than they do with their own parents until it's the weekend, and that's if the parent doesn't even work on the weekends. Like it's
Well, that goes back to what I said. We've subcontracted our security systems to government or centralized systems. We're not self-reliant anymore. Now, I mean, I understand what you're saying, that going to a community school to learn different functionality of systems is one thing, but to have a nuclear family,
hmm
that's no longer a prosperous
it's
thing.
fun.
I have to have my child support, my baby daddy. And it's just the nonsense that is promoted is where we are failing.
Yeah,
It's just nonsense.
yeah. Like I say, like especially we saw everything during COVID. It reared its head. At the worst part. It's like we realize how fucked up we are as a country. Like even right now, with the whole EBT crisis, you have people, committing crime. Well, they already done it before, but they started committing more and more crimes just because, oh, we ain't got no food. I'm gonna have to do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna rob people as they come out with their groceries. I'm like, that's where we are. Like kids, they got so used to, having technology. That's why I'm fortunate for me. Like, I know what it's like growing up. We had no technology. I was born in '78. Like, although there were computer games, during that time, no one could afford it because computers back then were expensive as shit. 1985 came around. My little brother was born. 1986, we got our first, Nintendo. So by that time, 1986, I'm already almost 9 years old. And so, like you said, last kid generation. You're right. Me, my little sister, my brother wasn't old enough to go to school yet. We walked to school, get on. We had a little keychain around a little neck or whatever. We get home, lock the door, nobody comes through. Take the chicken out. A lot of times too, we, being kids, we like to play when we get home, do our homework, whatever bullshit homework it was. You hear that, the key in the door, you're like, fuck. And that's when you remember the chicken. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you get your ass beat. So
Hmm.
that was just part of life back then. And people it's going to like discipline your children. I was, back in the day, we 7-day Adventists. Then as I've gotten older, mother, father divorced. I think it was like 12 or 13. We went back to Roman Catholic. It's a different religion, but at the same time, we're still strict. And these days, people don't want to discipline their children. I'm all about you beat your kid's ass. Do it in a way, not do it in a way. I'm trying to, make it look like child abuse. But there's a difference between child abuse and discipline your kids. There's a big difference. All right, so don't
Yeah.
come. If you come at me, I can talk about that all day. But you know, you stay on focus of what you discipline a kid for. You know, if you need to discipline your kid, don't come home from a hard day at work and then you discipline your kid. That's going to lead to child abuse. You
Hmm.
know, and nowadays, if you hit your kid more than twice, you can't talk to him in a stern voice in public. Oh, why are you doing that? You can't talk to your kid like, bitch, it's my kid.
Yeah.
Back then, I remember my mom. All three of us. I'm pushing the cart. My little brother and my sister in the cart. I hit her heel. She looked at me.
Oh.
Yeah, and yeah. So I knew I was getting ass beat when I got home. And he was playing again. We was playing. My mom stopped, wasn't paying attention because I could barely see over the cart. Hit her heel again. I got my ass beat right there in the aisle. Everybody looking, yeah, that's right, that's right. I'm like, we can't do that these days. You'll go to jail just for spanking,
Hmm.
put your hands on your kid. But you got these same kids running around here beating up grown people, and they kids walking, just trying to get home from school. So that's a result of mother and father, nuclear family not being home. We lost our way, like you said. From I would say around the '80s, we lost our way from that point moving forward. Oh, I can get all this extra government assistance. I can get this money. I can get child support too, and he doesn't have to be at the home. The government's my baby daddy now. And what do? They put the man in jail. So he's got to pay all this money towards child support. He can't pay it. He's in jail. It's just racking up even more money. He gets out. He's still in the same situation he left, but much worse. So that doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Right.
So, like I said, like all these systems are antiquated that we have. The whole, you know, child support laws. The court systems favor the mother 95 times out of 100. All this stuff is old school. We have to update everything because, like I say, a father can raise a kid just as well, if not better than the mother, versus her by herself. Because when that kid, like me, I'm 6 feet tall. When I got to fifth grade, I was the same height as my mom, 5'8". So there was nothing my mom could do. I'm already in wrestling. I'm already in football. She tried to beat me and she won. It's just, I can absorb those hits. They wouldn't do anything to me. And I know her trying to get a hold of my dad because I'm a grown ass boy. That testosterone's going to get in your system. But the thing is, I was around my family. So although my father was there, I still had uncles, grandmother, everybody in the area that talked to me. We don't have that these days. That's why you got these kids out there running the streets, 13, 14 years old, jacking people, robbing cars, stealing cars, stuff like that. And the mother can't do nothing because I don't know what to do. You hear them talk, crying about it on TikTok. That's all. The first thing they want to go is TikTok and social media to complain about the kids that they have brought into the world, but they didn't require anything of the man, no marriage in it like that. That's a whole nother subject. But we put ourselves into this situation as a whole, not just black, white, Asian, Hispanic, and other. Like we done this to ourselves, and everybody's trying to come up with their own solution, and it's not working.
Yeah.
We all need to sit down and talk about it.
Yeah. Well, man, look, check this out. Y'all got y'all last thoughts because I'm about to get out of here. But before I get to that though, I appreciate y'all coming through, and I wish I could be on here longer. Like if I wasn't going to work tonight, I would have just we would have just went on. I wouldn't because this is a good conversation, and we
Work.
actually
What's
got some
that?
people on the panel. Well, I'm on slave duty. I gotta go to slave duty tonight. So yeah, they got me caught up. The man. I gotta
What
go
you gonna do?
see the man and work for the man. But yeah. But y'all got any last thoughts?
Uh,
Um,
hey, go ahead.
you want to go Andre first, or
You go. You got it. You got it.
my last thought is that if we were to actually be able to have more conversations where there's more nuance and we're not isolated to a certain label, a certain title, or a certain category, if we were to just use human being or the community, maybe we would be able to create more nuance. There's not the individualistic ideology that's saying that me as and then rattle off like 10 different categories to isolate yourself away from other humans. Um,
What do
I
you
think
mean
that
by you
personal,
mean do you mean like race? Like saying I'm
Yeah, like
black and you're
yeah,
white?
yeah. If I were to, just like I'm going to say, I'm a master technician, veteran, felon, Hispanic, white man.
Okay. Okay.
That
yeah,
isolates me from everyone else. And then I'm not trying to put any more importance on myself versus somebody else. I like to have all conversations where human being is the category because then it doesn't introduce all this other, what I consider nonsense. But, self reliance, self accountability, if you're trained in skill sets and you can produce your own outcomes, life is usually better for you and your community as in a whole. That's my personal opinion.
yeah. I get what you're saying as far as that, but the thing is with that is like when like we could be in Rod, we talked about this as far as we got each ethnicity, racial group, whatever you want to call it, has their own subsect of people that
Yep.
you try to avoid them because they like to do this. I'm not that type of person. I'm gonna be over here doing my own thing. But us as a community, we as a community, the population of the U.S., however you want to break it down, it's just we've been, there's a lot of indoctrination going on. There's a lot of individualized thinking going on. It's a lot of historical. My father grew up this way. His father grew up this way. So I think the same exact way. Monolithic type of thinking. And like I say, like black people, we say, "Oh, we're not a monolith. We're not a monolith." But what do? We do monolithic type shit. When something comes down to it, oh, no snitching. Really? I
Hmm.
got robbed. Why can't I snitch? What the hell? Like it's my stuff that got stolen. You sitting up there, no snitching. Like that's the dumbest thing ever. That's just it's like I've never understood it. If something happened to me, if I can't take care of myself with my pew pews, I'm calling the cops. So,
Yeah.
and you call me snitch all
Calling
you
the
want,
cops.
Uncle Tom. I don't give a damn. I'm like, I work for that shit, and I want my shit back. If I can't get it, I'm gonna take your life or do whatever I have to. I'm well within my right to do it.
Mhm.
And now about Washington. Washington is stupid. I'll probably go to jail just for shoot somebody trying to kill me because that's how they are. Oh, you tried to, but he just tried to shoot me. Well, you're the one who got the bullet off first.
Yeah.
You can't make this. Can't make this shit up. That's how Washington is. It's so bad. Same thing as California, and they banned pretty much all the guns in California these days. And like I say, Oregon and
Hmm.
Washington, we're next. But I'll be moved back to Texas by then. So,
Welcome back when you get here. Welcome back.
oh yeah, it's gonna be hell yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well, yeah, man. I appreciate y'all coming through, man. Make sure y'all go holler at Lunatic Libertarian. He on YouTube. Also, Andre Johnson is Gen X Army on YouTube. Make sure y'all go to those pages and follow them, subscribe, hit the notification bell whenever they go live or drop some content.
I talk about controversial stuff, so it pisses people off. But
Exactly. I'm with you.
it's the
Well,
message, not the messenger.
uh,
Hmm.
That's all I gotta say.
Hmm.
yeah, and I'm affiliated with a political party that's the third largest, but probably has the most infighting because it's left, right, center, anarchist, authoritarian, all in the same group of people trying to figure out, what kind of policy is best for everybody else. But I appreciate y'all having me on. Go check out the interview that I had with the potential New York State governor candidate. His name is Larry Sharp. He's got a lot of policies. He's been on Joe Rogan. This is his third time running. Um, Very smart individual, United States Marine Corps veteran, and I appreciate you having me on the show. I really do. Thank you.
Oh yeah, no problem. You always welcome over here, Libertarian.
All right, check y'all later.
All right, I'm gonna holler at y'all. Peace.
Peace.